Tonight on Joynews Prime, the first since the general election, the Electoral Commission of Ghana has declared the NDC candidates as winner of the parliamentary contest in the Upper Dentra West constituency, bringing to 137 the number of seats won by the NPP, 136 for the NDC, one independent candidate with one more seat yet to be declared. The opposition National Democratic Congress is demanding the Electoral Commission reverse the declaration of President Akufo-Addo as winner of the presidential election, insisting the NPP could not have won a first-round victory. Some supporters of the party meanwhile clashed with security forces deployed to the headquarters of the Electoral Commission, where they marched to the place. The General Secretary of the NDC announced the party's flag bearer, former President John Mahama, will be detailing why he believes the NPP did not win the election.
We still stand by our original position, and that is to reject the presidential results as declared by the Electoral Commission.
The coalition of domestic observers has, however, dismissed suggestions the results of the election are inaccurate.
Each candidate's official results closely match the PVT estimate and falls within the estimated confidence of 95% range and the associated margin of error.
Government has meanwhile refuted claims that security forces were deployed to monitor the election, were intimidating voters at polling stations. Government also commended the media for its reportage of the just-ended general election.
Ghana also wishes to congratulate the Ghanaian media for your role in the coverage of the 2020 parliamentary and presidential elections.
The Ghana Health Service has been providing details on Ghana's COVID-19 situation.
If people abide by the protocols now, we will be able to minimize whatever possible surge we have. We have a chart of many countries that had an increase in their COVID situation after election.
My name is in business.
Coming up in business, the Ghana International Trade Commission says the just-ended election cements the country as a stable economy ripe for investments.
Now for Ghana is to show to the whole world that this is a sound place to make business. You can put your investment here and be sure that you have the safety.
My name is Israel. Joynews Prime is coming to you live from our Fanofa studios at Kokomlemle here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. All right, you're watching Joynews Prime. Before we get on with the latest coming from the Electoral Commission on the parliamentary results, we're joined by Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Jenfi of the National Peace Council, and we have some news coming through that the National Peace Council has been attacked. He's going to give us details. Good evening to you. Now, can you please tell us or confirm that indeed the National Peace Council has been attacked, and under what circumstances?
Well, that the story is true. 2 days ago, there was, as part of the press conference of the NDC, the General Secretary made an appeal to the Peace Council to intervene in the issues that they had. And so when we heard that, we thought it was an opportunity for us to engage them to determine what would be the best way to handle this. And so initially we called him and wanted to book an appointment with him. But he said he was out of town and that meeting was not possible that evening. But after a while, our members thought that at that time of the day, most likely most of them might be there. So why don't we just go to the office and see who might be there and probably firm up the meeting. But when we entered their headquarters, there was quite a large crowd there. This was probably sometime after 11 p.m. And some of them verbally started attacking us. And then when they saw the Peace Council car, they all charged on the car. And people were hitting the car, trying to open it, stamping on the car, bumping into it and all. So we thought that we were not safe. Meanwhile, there were two other cars following. We had our bus with us, and then we had another Nissan van with the head of the NCC with us. So we had to speed off and leave the premises. They were still banging the car and everything. We had to leave. And we came back to where we were. And when we got back, we realized that the car was seriously damaged. But at least we're all safe. So we engaged them, and again, they promised that we could come to JM's office yesterday morning, which we did. And when we got there initially, the meeting was very cordial. We had very good reception. In the course of the meeting, this whole group of guys came in again and verbally attacked us. I mean, ready to do anything. And they had to restrain them. It was a very difficult and very emotional situation. Finally, they were able to get them out for the meeting to continue, but they kept on shouting and making noise outside, gunshots outside and all of that. At the end of the meeting, we had to leave, and there were two gentlemen in front of the gate with stones ready to stone us, and some of them had put blocks on the road to block us. But somehow we were able to manage the situation because the car I was in had the NCC boss in it with a police man in the car. So the police officer got out and had to restrain them. But finally, when he jumped into the car for us to speed off, they bumped into the car and damaged that car also. So two of those cars are damaged now.
Apart from the damages that you talk about to the vehicles, did any of you or your colleagues sustain any injury?
No, nobody sustained injury, but generally they are all traumatized, especially the women on the board. For some of them, this was their first experience, and some of them were saying that they never thought that the peace work was like that. But I told them, well, once you want to do peace work, you must be ready for some of these things. But the majority of them are really traumatized.
Has the police been notified, or have you filed an official complaint with the police?
No, we didn't.
Why not?
Well, initially, as part of our engagement, we thought that we didn't really want to escalate it to still build confidence for us to engage them. And so that is why we've not done anything. We want to still see how we can engage them in a very sober manner to try and resolve whatever problem we have to bring peace and stability to our country.
But shouldn't the police at least be aware that you and your colleagues came under some form of attack?
Well, we could do it, except for us, for the time being, we thought that we didn't want to really escalate it because in peace work, you need to build confidence. And sometimes some of these things are expected, but that is our position now, for us to be able to still engage them, because we need peace for the country. And as soon as practicable, we think that there's a need for us to get to that point where we can settle this matter and move on.
Have you since made contact with NDC leadership?
Not yet.
Why?
Our board met today to evaluate all the work we did during the election. We are meeting again tomorrow. We'll still be evaluating and then also determine what will be the best strategy. Because they are still issuing press conferences. We need to see what the direction is and determine what is the best way to approach this issue.
All right, thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edu Gyamfi of the National Peace Council, bringing us that update on the incident there, they said, at the NDC headquarters. But moving on, latest figures from the Electoral Commission indicate the New Patriotic Party has won 137 of the parliamentary seats in the 2020 election. The NDC, on the other hand, has won 136, with an independent candidate winning the Formina seat. It brings to 274 the seats declared so far, with the winner of the Senate West constituency seat yet to be determined. Now, parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins me with more on this. Now, Joseph, please take us through which party has won what.
And so from the details that we're getting, which the EC's own publication has actually been confirming, the New Patriotic Party has 137 seats, as you indicated. And they give us the breakdown. In the Western region, for example, the NPP had 9 seats, the NDC has 8. The Central region, the NPP had 10, the NDC had 13. In Greater Accra, 14 for the NPP, 20 for the NDC. In the Volta region, 1 for the NPP, 17 for the NDC. In the OT region, 0 for the NPP and 8 for the NDC. In the Eastern region, 25 for the NPP, 8 for the NDC. In the Ashanti region, the NPP's stronghold, 42 for the NPP, 4 for the NDC. And then we all know of the independent candidates also in the Formina area, whose seat is actually out there as well. In Western North, 3 for the NPP, 6 for the NDC, I have 4 for the NPP, 2 for the NDC. In the Bono region, it's 6 for the NPP and 6 for the NDC. And then in Bono East, 3 for the NPP, 7 for the NDC. In Savannah, 3-4 in favor of the NDC. In the northern region, it's another tie, 9-9 for each of the 2 sides. And then in Northeast, 4 for the NPP, 2 for the NDC. In Upper East, it's 1 for the NPP and 14 for the NDC. And finally, in the Upper West region, it's 3 for the NPP and 8 for the NDC. So we are waiting for that particular result from the Senate West area in order to know who is actually going to control the next part.
What do you understand to be the challenge with this Senate West seat?
So we gather that during the voting, when specifically the counting was happening, we had a situation where one of the ballot boxes was actually taken away by, some hooligans, as someone would say. And then the security agencies managed to retrieve that box and they brought it back. When they brought it back, the seal on it that had been put by the NPP had been broken. All the parties do put their seal on it, and then the Electoral Commission as well. It's more like a lock that's usually placed on the ballot boxes, and then each party then opens its own once they are ready to do the counting. As a result of that, all the other results in the constituency have actually been put together, except for that particular ballot box representing that polling center. And the issue now is that currently we gather that the New Patriotic Party is leading the tally by a little over 400 votes, and the NDC is trailing. Now, the NDC's argument, which we saw being repeated by Johnson Asidu Nketia, the General Secretary, earlier today, is that if they go ahead and add the total tally from that polling center to the results as they exist currently, the NDC will win the seat. But they see a situation where there's a deliberate attempt by the NPP to frustrate the efforts to get that particular ballot box added, which in the end, if that particular ballot box is struck out completely, then the NPP's lead will hold and they may end up taking that particular seat.
Which party is holding that seat right now?
Currently, this is a seat that is being held by, from the checks, looks like the NDC at the moment, and then we're waiting for how things will pan out based on how things would go. But currently, it's been held by the NDC. All
right. Now, what will the implications be? So as we have it now, 137 for the NPP, 136 for the NDC and the independent candidate. Now, should the Senate seat go to the NPP, then NPP is going to have a majority of 138 seats, while the NDC will have 136, and the independent candidates will be, the NPP leading independent candidates will have that one. What will be the implications, however, should the Senate West seat go to the NDC, which will make it 137 for the NPP, 137 for the NDC, with the independent candidate in the middle?
So the determination on who and what constitutes majority and minority is something that we would have a clearer picture on the first day of the House sits, come the dawn of the 7th of January 2021. So in the House, you either need to be part of the majority or the minority. You can't be in the House and say you are independent. And majority could mean a situation of more than one political party coming together. And we saw that in the parliament that ran from 2013, where we had some of the smaller parties having seats and then them deciding to join one side of the House. Now, everything will now lie with the Fomena MP if we see a situation where the NDC wins the Senate seat and it's a 137-137. The indication is that he may join the NPP, which will then mean that on the day when he sits on the side of the majority, and then they get the 138 on the side of the majority, then they can assume that they have the majority. Otherwise, if he decides to take the other side as well, then that would mean the NDC probably getting the majority. And from what we've gathered, both sides are actually engaging. From what we've gathered, some of the folks at the level of even the minority have been reaching out and trying to have conversations about, trying to get him on their side, which it's more like a very long shot, because all along he said he was winning the seat for the NPP.
What would be the implications should he decide on the 7th of January that I have switched camp to join the NPP or the NDC? So,
it switched camp in terms of...
Or cross carpet.
Okay, so then that would mean him making a case that I am now a member of one party or the other. Deciding to be part of either the majority or the minority wouldn't amount to you crossing carpet, because in the House, that's how the House is split. The House is split into majority and minority, not exactly NPP, NDC. It just so happens that depending on who has the higher numbers, then you sit either on the side of the majority or the side of the minority. And so if he decides to join the majority, that would mean nothing. But if he then decides to join the NPP, some of the analysis point to the fact that then that would mean crossing carpets, which will then mean, as has repeatedly been made, in fact, the reason why his current seat was actually declared vacant had to do with the fact that the political party on whose ticket he came said that he is no longer a member of the party, and based on that, he was expelled from Parliament and his seat was declared vacant. That same principle would have to apply if he comes to the House as an independent candidate and decides that in terms of political party positioning, he's actually joining the NPP. But that's what it will mean if he says now he's part of the NPP, except that if he says he's only part of a majority, then he would walk away squeaky clean. We've seen some examples of individuals who came to Parliament as independents and then decided to go back to their party, including Jose Usu. And some of these acts were actually undertaken when the House was in the dying days, like 3 months to go, when eventually you moved to the party, then no by-election would have to be held, and then we didn't see any process being triggered to get them replaced as members of Parliament.
All right, thank you very much, Parliamentary Correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, bringing us that update there. Now, should the NDC, or should this Member of Parliament, or as we have it now, the MPP will go into the next government with not too sure about whether they have a majority or not, and it clearly indicates that they're going to have, or they have some commentators have suggested that they're going to have a tough time pushing their bills through or governing. We know that the Information Minister has been responding to that, and we'll bring you that clip when it becomes available. But generally, you also reckon, or actually, let's just listen to the Information Minister, Kojo Nkrumah, on this.
If you have a parliament in which the majority has about 138 or 139, by the time the seats we are challenging, 139, 140 are done. It's not the same as having 169, 106. And the president, I think in his address yesterday, was quite clear that the people of Ghana have sent a message to the two leading political parties that there's a need to work together. That means that a lot more middle ground has to be found on the various things that government intends to do. There are other jurisdictions in which you find the executive in the hands of one party and the legislature in the hands of another party, and even they find common ground to do business. Because, mind you, at the end of the day, we are supposed to be in this business in the interest of the people of Ghana. So if the executive is committed, the majority is committed, we believe that the minority will also, or ought also, to be committed to doing business that helps to push the republic forward. Indeed, in Parliament, for those of you who cover Parliament, a lot of the times, 90% of the times, we don't disagree on matters. Business comes to the House, is referred to committees, committee reports come, they are approved. Rarely, one or two issues, then you would find that there's a major debate or a split, and then maybe you have a walkout or something. But if you list the business of the House, you find that it's on rare matters that there's division. And the message is clear that even on those rare matters, we need to work towards some compromise. So, yes, it ought not to be business as usual. I think we can all be clear in saying that. It ought not to be business as usual, but we look forward to working together as we've done in times past, but with a lot more compromise to achieve what's in the best interest of the Republic.
Right, so that's information in Minister Kojo Nkrumah. And I see him putting a brave face to it and suggesting that things will become and that they can work together and that they often work together. But I can imagine that they would work together when it is clear that one has the majority, or one is in the majority and the other is in the minority. But here's a situation where you know that it only takes maybe one member of parliament to be absent. And it's going to make things quite difficult. Do you reckon that things are going to play out the way he's suggesting?
I'm of the view that a working majority can be as little as one, because then having that working majority means your party person chairs the various committees that eventually brings a report recommending to the House to approve anything. Usually, when bills come to the House for approval, a lot of the documents say you need more than 2/3 of MPs in the House to take a decision. But in terms of the decision being taken, all you need is a simple majority. Yeah. So actually, mainly that's all you need, except that there can be 100% guarantee that everyone will be in Parliament at the same time on specific days. A lot of MPs would end up being ministers of state. They would travel out of the country. They would go for conferences. They would have other business they need to attend to. There will be occasions when the speaker himself would not be present. The presiding would have to be a deputy speaker who will be a member most likely of the majority side. Then he wouldn't be able to cast a vote on issues, which then reduces the number in terms of having the accurate working majority to get things done. So it's likely to be a very difficult time in Parliament, but whoever has the speakership actually has a lot of control. If the majority leader thinks he doesn't have the numbers and a vote has to be taken, he asks that the speaker adjourns it to a different day where he goes to mobilize and bring them back, and the speaker will koto. So if no matter how slim the majority, if you're able to whip in your numbers appropriately and control the speakership appropriately, you can get things done without the minority to a certain extent.
All right, thank you very much, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. Now, in other news, the opposition National Democratic Congress is calling on Ghanaians to rise up and defend their mandate. Speaking at a news conference in Accra today, General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Executive, claimed that the results declared by the Electoral Commission Wednesday evening was fabrication. The Electoral Commission declared President Akufo-Addo as winner of the presidential election held on Monday. But the NDC insists the results, as declared, do not reflect the will of the people.
Yesterday, just around this time, the Electoral Commission, we picked information that the Electoral Commission was about to declare results when we were fully convinced that they didn't have any results to declare and that they were going to fabricate results and feed the nation to those fabrications. We put together a petition to the Commission expressing our reservations and asking them to call for a meeting at which we could all resolve the outstanding issues to pave way for the declaration of a result that will be acceptable to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, to our utter dismay, they refused our petition. Not long after, we held a press conference to reject the results in its totality. I have come to confirm that we still stand by our original position, and that is to reject the presidential results as declared by the Electoral Commission yesterday. And indeed, immediately after our rejection, the Commission itself, for the first time in the history of this country, had to go back to recalculate the results and have since brought figures to contradict their earlier declaration, which they claim to be the final declaration. So let's ask ourselves, of what value was either the initial declaration or the follow-up declaration, which of the results should we place value on? The truth of the matter is that none of the two represent the reality.
The NDC chief scribe also alleged that the Electoral Commission and the ruling MPP or the governing MPP is conniving to manipulate the parliamentary results.
Put with MPP, having discovered the unpleasant fact that NDC has captured 140 seats out of the 275 seats, was put in a very unpleasant situation. They had some two options, none of it was appealing to them. The first option was to declare faithfully that NDC had won the 140 seats in Parliament, and to declare in the worst case scenario that there should be a runoff. They evaluated that option and realized that with NDC having majority in Parliament, any runoff will be like the 2008 runoff, where every Ghanaian will expect the new president to have a working majority in Parliament. So they ruled that out. Their next option, which they felt was feasible, was to use brute force to try and prevent the declaration of the results of some outstanding constituencies where their own coalitions indicated that NDC had won, and to try and force a declaration in places which they consider were also weak for them to be able to penetrate.
While some supporters of the National Democratic Congress trooped to the Electoral Commission on Thursday afternoon, leading to a clash with the security forces there.
So the police and the military driving them away, pushing the ladies from the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. And these women are supporters of the NDC, and they have come here today to demonstrate. Well, as you can see, the woman is fighting the people. It's becoming chaos. This woman is trying to. So it become a bit chaotic at the moment. It's become a bit chaotic now. The ladies are resisting. The ladies are resisting. They are resisting at the moment. So the police and the military driving them away, pushing.
You're watching Joynews Prime, but still ahead. The General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress has announced that the party's background, former President John Mahama, will be detailing why he believes the NPP did not win the election, and will be bringing you that address when it happens. Also, the Coalition of Domestic Observers has dismissed the suggestions the results of the 2020 election, as announced or published by the Electoral Commission, are inaccurate.
Each candidate's official results closely match the PVT estimate and falls within the estimated confidence of 95% range and the associated margin of error.
We'll have all that and more coming your way after the break. But up next, we bring you business news.
Hello there, welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. The business community, both home and abroad, followed closely the turn of events with regards to the election. So far, the special EU envoy to Ghana, who monitored the elections, has described the elections as peaceful and fair. Meanwhile, the Ghana Trade and Investment Commission says that Ghana's peaceful election cements the country's credential as a stable economy ripe for investment. Frank Ejukum is Executive Secretary of the Ghana International Trade Commission.
What this has done for Ghana is to show to the whole world that this is a sound place to make business. You can put your investment here and be sure that you have the safety and the genuineness and the soundness to conduct business without any disturbances or coming to your way in terms of civil disturbances as happens in election time. You know that anybody investing in any country or in any business anywhere at all would want to be sure that they are able to, one, safeguard their businesses, two, be able to return their profits, three, be able to understand that there only comes to a time when there's a disruption of business where they have to evacuate at a very short notice, which disrupts the production levels. Many of these businesses, when they invest, will have long-term projections and long-term business connections and activities and undertakings with other business abroad. So when it happens so, they don't only lose in the country, but they lose also in terms of profit making and in terms of credibility.
Now, if you indeed monitor this year's elections, I'm talking about the lead-up and actual polls, you will notice how the power of social media, blockchain technology, and innovation shaped campaign messaging and the entire election processes. One techpreneur who made good use of this opportunity is the person of Henry Kobler, who is also the CEO of iSolve Africa. He spoke to me earlier on the marketplace.
The use of the internet was more powerful this time around because right from mobile phones, mobile applications, people were monitoring and looking at the trends of that. I think that was major, especially within this time for the elections.
That was great. Now, I believe that you really had a good time making some profits from the elections. Tell us about it. Profits
might possibly come in. I think that as we grow in the tech industry, we're going to have to look at more systems which are pretty much expensive, and because they're going to be deployed for the first time, you might possibly not be looking at the profit margins, but the point where these technologies are being in use and are providing you with the results that you're really looking at. I think that deploying systems as simple as SMS, bulk SMS, voice, bulk voice, SMS, were a bit profitable because they've been in the system for quite some time. And so deploying, let's say, 100,000 SMS for a particular political candidate was profitable because you deploy more SMS in that region. But in terms of softwares, you really wouldn't have to price it in the necessary points because those are the first times that you deploy these technologies. But I think that
now, with a new big jackpot worth 395,000 cedis, 787 NLA has rewarded its 49th unique prize winner with 20,000 cedis in cash. There is more in this report.
Francis Donko, who emerged the unique prize winner of 20,000 cedis, shared his desire in establishing a pharmaceutical firm.
I didn't
really go through any process. I just dialed *787#. I used to doubt the whole process, but I was called one evening to be told I had won. This is real and not a scam. I urge all to partake.
At first, now I doubt because I was thinking, say, scammers be crying. But later on, I sent a message say, my winning at the number. I did change, and so most of our friends show say, I don't know, my winning at the number. And to be no correct.
Meanwhile, the representative for Samata, Mohammed received the prize with joy and revealed Samata was much grateful.
My
sister started this star 787 hash and she has won. She's at the northern part of Ghana and unwell, so I came to take the car on her behalf. This is real. I won't be able to sleep tonight. I'm really happy.
Star 787 real no crepa. I don't mean that. No cre.
Head of Customer Experience at Star 787 hash, Richard Akotobanfo, says the new big jackpot draw seeks to offer a golden opportunity to participants to drive home 3 more brand new Toyota Corolla with only 5 cities.
This Saturday, Star 787 hash Emma Wakwenya ama the brand new Toyota Corolla akufie.
Star 787 hash gives you the opportunity this Saturday to win a car and earn some cash. This is an opportunity you can't miss.
Ubesenya ho akonya 395,000 Ghana cedis. Eya memene da we ya. Inti wo trending.
That'll be all for business. Gary L. Smith is up next with sports. Do stay.
Thank you for staying with us on Joynews Prime. This is The Sport and I'm Gary L. Smith. In our first story, Asante KOTOKO have told the Ghana Football Association that their decision to relocate to the Aliyu Mahama Stadium is purely for sporting reasons. The Porcupines, in a letter yesterday to their football governing body, said a move away from the Accra facility will decongest the venue as they are affected by the 6 p.m. kickoff of matches. For more, here is Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.
The GFA's letter to KOTOKO on December 2 asked the club to provide reasons why they want to relocate to the Ali Muhammad Sports Stadium. The letter also asked the Porcupines to make available ownership agreement between them and the National Sports Authority to help the football governing body make an informed decision about their requests. KOTOKO said they only requested to relocate their home venue to a facility that has been approved by the GFA through the club licensing board, deriving its powers from Article 46 of the GFA statutes and required to work in accordance with the relevant provisions enshrined in the GFA club licensing regulations. KOTOKO said the GFA approved the Aliyu Muhammad Sports Stadium as their alternative venue for the 2020-21 Champions League, following their request for a license to participate in the CAF Champions League, which was duly approved. In relation to the ownership agreement as requested by the GFA, the club added that to request for an ownership agreement at a stage of our expression of interest to relocate to the Aliyu Muhammad Stadium would be a great deviation from the licensing process. They said the decision to move to the Aliyu Muhammad Stadium is purely for sporting reasons. Moving to the Aliyu Muhammad Stadium, they say, would give us a bigger leverage in terms of competition to reduce congestion at the Accra Sports Stadium. The GFA had said the club licensing board did not raise concerns about the number of clubs competing at the Accra Sports Stadium. However, KOTOKO insists the licensing board must not raise concerns before they decide on which facility they want to relocate their home venue to. It appears KOTOKO is dissatisfied with the decision of playing most of their matches at 6 p.m. In their letter to the FA explaining why they need a permission to relocate to the Aliyu Muhammad Stadium, KOTOKO said playing their home matches at 6 p.m. because of the live coverage of matches by Star Times does not help the GFA to manage the days on match days. They said the fixture scheduling so far sees us playing our home matches at 6 p.m. because of live coverage of our home matches by Star Times. This certainly is because the GFA needs to manage the days on match days, but it goes seriously against us. It is for this reason that we humbly request to move to a facility that has no Premier League presence. This would be spreading the love of the game across the country and accomplishing the GFA's agenda of bringing back the love. The record Ghana Premier League champions reiterated their decision to return to the Bawayara Sports Stadium should rehabilitation works is concluded. Since work is currently ongoing on the facility, they are by law at liberty to choose a venue of their choice.
From football to boxing, and fans in Ghana could be treated to some high-quality boxing come December the 26th after the official launch of the Boxing Night Rumble. Details in the following report by Asari Bidiako.
Ghana's world title hopeful Patrick Alote will lock horns with Victor Skemevo in the 10-round welterweight bout at the Idorets Event Center in Dansoman, Accra. The Ghanaian boxer is eager to redeem himself after serving a 6-month ban. Alote is confident of victory, but his opponent Kemevo will make things tough for him come December 26.
Alote, I know Alote not today, but he doesn't know me. I've been watching his fights. He's good. I know him. I'm praying someday I'll meet him. I would say that my prayer come true. And this is the place I respect Alote. In the ring, I don't think that respect will come. So he should watch out.
Boxing Night Rumble is being put together by Kabik Promotion and Box Office Promotion. Ivan Bruscujo is Chief Executive Officer of Kabik.
I believe this kind of pairing may go a long way if we all put our head together and decide to do the right thing. I wouldn't talk much, but on the 26th of December, this very place will witness its maiden boxing event. And due to this COVID, it's something that we wouldn't allow a lot of people to come in. We'll just be restricted to some few because we have to observe the COVID protocols. So I would really want to say, do bear with us when people are forcing to come in and we limiting them from coming in. Because due to this pandemic, we have to be very, very cautious of it.
And that's it for the sport. Thank you for your time. I'm Gary Al Smith. I'll be back on the other side of 8.
It's time for Showbiz, and Becky Vex is here. So this is the first Showbiz we're having after the elections.
Yeah, it's been a stressful election. You know that because of the elections, a lot of people haven't been paying attention to showbiz and all that. I'm very sad, but it's okay.
Yeah, but we can actually have a conversation about the outcome of the election as far as John Domelo is concerned.
Of course, yeah, they were trolling John. Why?
Well, I don't support any such trolls.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we won't do that.
Okay, so he lost. But he said he's contesting it.
Next year.
He's contesting the election results.
Yeah, so he wanted a recount or something like that. Yeah. So we'll wait for that when the time comes. We'll bring them that. But, you know, whilst we were, or the election headquarters was giving viewers, you know, a very beautiful coverage of the 2020 elections, we've left some of the, you know, fun part out. So I put them together.
Those who actually think that that declaration made by President Akufo-Addo, well, inadvertently, actually won the seat for Neil Antivander.
But he said one can ye.
Yeah, but it was too late.
Let's move away. Nana Addo Dankwa, the president-elect, has been, well, obviously declared the president of Ghana, and some celebrities have been reacting to it. Obviously, you know, the ones that openly supported. Yeah. They are leading this.
Yes. Congratulations, big congratulations to the whole of Ghana for putting Ghana first. Congratulations to everybody that went out to vote. Thank you for putting Ghana first. Thank you for making this a peaceful and transparent election. Thank you for not making it violent. Big up yourselves, every Ghanaian out there. We put Ghana first. That's what we did. Yes, Achisa. Big up yourself, President-elect. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Your Excellency. Big up yourself.
Ubancha mba akodi afofo na gususu na sie uba next 4 years ubanchi bebo. Yeah, Ghana for move on. What do you say?
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're victims.
But I mean, on social media, you could see some celebrities, congratulating Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
I want
forcing the Lydia Forcing. Stoneboy also congratulated the president-elect, and so you did.
So I would want to find out from Samini actually that there was this incident where at a rally.
Yeah, he was trying to raise Nana's hand, and
I was wondering exactly what he was trying to do. Was he trying to proclaim him?
He wasn't giving the opportunity. I don't know why it's going on at that point, but Samini won't talk to anybody until he's ready. So basically, that's it.
All right.
So, Shatawale has some advice for, all the politicians.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Okay, but that'll be it for those of you watching on Joy Prime. That'll be it for Showbiz. But I will leave you with this advice from Shatawale. Right, you're watching Joy News Prime. As I indicated, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, will be addressing, or has indicated that he will be addressing, the nation. And as you can see in your visuals on the screens there, it's about to happen, and we'll take you there when he begins to speak. But the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, KOTOKO, has dismissed claims of inaccuracies in the Electoral Commission's presidential figures, urging Ghanaians to have confidence in the Commission. Acting Chairman Sheikh Aremeyao Shaibu says KOTOKO's figures corroborate the results published by the EC and reflect how Ghanaians voted.
KOTOKO's pre-election and election day observation reports, as well as our PVT data, should give Ghanaians confidence that the results declared by the Electoral Commission reflects how Ghanaians voted in the December 7 presidential polls. Accordingly, KOTOKO advises the contestants in the presidential elections, their supporters, and general public to place confidence in the official presidential results as declared by the Electoral Commission. We encourage any party or candidate with issues about the presidential results to peacefully resolve these through proper legal and procedural channels. KOTOKO appeals to Ghanaians to remain calm, law-abiding, and allow the system to work.
Sheikh Shaibu presented KOTOKO's own figures on the elections compiled by 1,502 of its observers across the 16 regions.
The data was thoroughly checked for accuracy, internal consistency, and indeed integrity. In general, each candidate's official results closely match the PVT estimate and falls within the estimated confidence of 95% range and the associated margin of error. Also, the PVT ranking of the presidential candidates based on their share of the valid votes received is largely similar to what was put out by the EC. I just give you maybe two examples. If you take the result that was provided by the EC, the presidential one, the EC official results gave the president-elect 51.302%, and our PVT estimate also put it at 50.98%, and so therefore there is some certain closeness in the figure. If you take that of the former president, John Dramani Mahama, that is NDC, the official EC results stood at 47.359%, and that of our estimate stood at 47.66%.
In this parallel voter tabulation method cannot go wrong, as it has been tried and tested in previous elections in Ghana and abroad.
The PVT is an advanced and scientific election observation technique that combines well-established statistical principles and information communication technology, ICT, to observe elections. The PVT involves deploying trained accredited observers to a nationally representative random sample of polling stations. On election day, PVT observers observe the entire polling process and transmit reports about the conduct of the polls and official vote count in real time to a central election observation database using the short message service platform. The PVT technique has been deployed successfully around the world to promote electoral integrity and help defend the rights of citizens to vote and to protect such rights when excised. The first PVT was conducted in the Philippines in 1986. Since then, the methodology has been employed in election observation in Bulgaria, Chile, Croatia, Guyana, Albania, Bangladesh, Belarus, Indonesia, Georgia, Macedonia, Slovakia, Montenegro, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, and Ukraine. In Africa, the methodology has been deployed successfully in Madagascar, Malawi, Mozambique, Uganda, Burundi, Sierra Leone, Zambia, Ghana, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, and Tunisia. Unlike pre-election surveys which track voter intentions or exit polls which track voter recollections, the PVT is based on the actual behavior of electorates in an election. In other words, PVT observers do not speak to voters about the choices they made at the polls to produce the outcome of an election. Rather, after observing the entire voting and counting process, PVT observers record the official vote count as announced by election officials at polling stations and rapidly transmit this information to an observation center via coded text message. Consequently, the PVT data is collected directly from the polling stations.
The Electoral Commission has rebuffed claims by the National Democratic Congress. Figures of votes in favor of Nana Akufo-Addo were inflated in the Ashanti region. The Commission also denied reports of staffed ballot boxes in the region. The NDC has accused the EC of collating figures higher than what was recorded at the Regional Collating Center to cushion the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party. In an exclusive interview with Joynews on Hemming Terrier, Ashanti Regional Director of the EC, Benjamin Banobio, dismissed the claim.
At every level of the elections, at the polling stations, we have all the political party agents there. At the close of the election, ballot papers are counted. The ballot papers that has been cast are counted in the open, and they are counted audibly for everyone there to know. And when they finish counting, they fill or complete polling station resource forms. And these forms are signed by both our officials and then the party agent. And then copies are given to each party agent present. These documents become the primary source for declaring any election at any level. So when we come to the coalition center, we have representatives of political parties there. Then we collate these polling station results together. Every constituency does that. And there too we have the agents there. After collation forms are filled, and then the summary results are also completed. Both documents are signed by officials and then the polling agents. During collation, because they also have the same document which we are using to collate, if there are any anomaly, parties raise it up and then we trash it up before they move on. You come to the regional coalition officers level. What I did as a regional coalition officer is to collate the results so announced at each of the 47 constituencies. of which copies has already been given to the political parties. And they were here with me. Any results that come in, I announce it to them, and everybody gets satisfied before I even add it onto my collation sheet. So with this transparent and verifiable processes, there's no way anybody can do anything to affect the results.
Group calling itself the Liberation Movement of Fomena is demanding the dismissal of the NPP chairman for the Fomena constituency, Akwesi Anti Asamoah. The demand, according to the group, is a condition for the MP-elect Andrew Esiama Amakun, who won the constituency as an independent candidate, to align with the NPP in Parliament. Nana Jima bumped into the MP-elect at Akrokari, where he polled a majority of votes and filed this report.
The Liberation Movement of Fomena has accused constituency chairman Akwesi Anti Asamoah of championing a divisive front ahead of the general election. The MP-elect contested as an independent candidate after refusing to contest in the NPP primary. When the next parliament is convened, Andrew Esiama Amakun will have to choose to align with either the NPP or NDC, as both parties struggle to form a parliamentary majority. After the election of lawyer Andrew Esiama as an independent member of parliament, this is the first time he has been to his stronghold, Akrokari, and as you can see, he has been welcomed massively by the people. He wouldn't want to speak with us, but I'll try and squeeze some few words from him. He's pleading with us. We've tried several for very. Okay, he said, why aren't you speaking to us?
For a very good reason. Let me reserve my comments.
So when do we get you to speak to us?
At a good time. Don't worry.
All right. So that is lawyer Andrew Esiama. We met him accidentally, or we bumped into him. Constituents who voted the MP spoke to Love News.
We voted him due to his good works. All we want is to get the development we deserve.
He's very trustworthy and has delivered. He didn't neglect us in his first term.
He is very humble and accessible. He deserves another term.
Now, which party Andrew Esiama Amakun aligns with in Parliament has become relevant since none of the two parties can claim absolute majority. The Liberation Movement of Fomena played a key role in the re-election of the MP. Here are their thoughts.
His blood is NPP, so he should align to their side. We need him to align with NPP so he can get us development.
You were just trying to do it so that we can liberate Fomena MPP from some certain people. Yeah. So as we speak now, I can tell you that those they call themselves the executives, I can tell you most of them, they didn't vote for Nana Akufo-Addo. I can tell you that. They didn't vote for Nana Akufo-Addo because they were not campaigning for him.
Honorable Andrew Samuel Kwensiama no no mom na osoma na yene a yewo Fomena mpesua so yetie nu na nye obi fufuro o ma ne ya ewa ha no kwasi ntim ne na sefo no na na kan ye hye because that t-shirt
we want the party chairman removed. The party chairman Kwesi Inti and the executives were the problem. There were those who sucked us, but we have been resolute.
From Kumasi for Joynews, Nana Jima reporting.
You're watching Joynews Prime, and the Ghana Health Service says it is enhancing its surveillance to deal with possible surges in COVID-19 cases post the 2020 general elections. It says it is learning from best practices employed in other countries that organize elections during this pandemic. Speaking at a news conference Thursday, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, disclosed that the service will re-engineer its risk communication strategy to whip up compliance to safety protocols.
We are going to observe more keenly. The slightest sign is picked up. We also know where there are potential points where there were large jubilations, where there were queuing, among other things. And so the district there will enhance surveillance to ensure that anybody who reports any similar condition are quickly picked up and identified. And of course, we intensify our testing in such areas at the least sign that we find. So those are the areas we are talking about. But the most important thing is that if people abide by the protocols now, we will be able to minimize whatever possible surge we have. We have a chart of many countries that had an increase in their COVID situation after election, but there are also many other countries who were able to contain and actually brought it down. Korea is one of the examples, and so we are trying to adapt the same mechanism that we are doing. But fortunately, the way the election itself was conducted actually reduced the risk of spread. There were fewer queues. A significant number had masks, at least the ones I visited and those I saw on television. Of course, there were some who were not wearing masks, but we are hoping that this will not be a spike, but we are enhancing surveillance to be able to quickly identify and contain.
I hear you. You're watching Joynews Prime. We're taking a break. Up next, we bring you business news.
Hello, it's time for business. The Finance Ministry has begun the search for the appointment of transaction advisors for next year's $5 billion Eurobond, as well as other bonds. It is therefore inviting qualified and reputable transaction advisors for the various instruments under the program. Now, the instruments for the program include Eurobonds, diaspora bonds, sustainable or green bonds, and the syndicated term bonds. Now, the selected transaction advisors for each instrument shall be required to provide, but not limited to, advisory, guidance, and driving the international capital market funding program process, as well as structuring and documentation of the program. Also, the $5 billion Eurobond will be used to support growth-oriented expenditures in the 2021 budget, conduct liability management, including the refinancing of domestic debt, and a buyback of some selected outstanding Eurobonds. We shall be keeping an eye on this development to give you updates as and when we do have them. But away from that, small and medium-scale enterprises on the African continent are set to benefit from a finance facility to support them under the African Continental Free Trade Agreement area. Now, this is part of ongoing discussions between the Secretariat and some African banks, including Standard Bank. The Secretary General of the Continental Free Trade Agreement Area Secretariat, Wamkele Mene, believes that this will go a long way to empower more SMEs on the continent. There is more in this report.
To the 13th extraordinary session of the African Union Assembly held virtually last week, the African Union Trade Commission announced that there are so far 34 African countries ready to begin trading from January, including Nigeria, which earlier raised concerns about standardization. Some identified challenges of the free trade area include financing for industries and businesses in the member countries and the capacity of SMEs to penetrate into other markets. Responding in his opening remarks at the session, Secretary General Wamkele Mene disclosed that discussions are ongoing to explore the possibilities of collaborating with African banks for a $1 billion trade financing scheme.
We intend to expand our partnerships with the private sector. We have had very fruitful discussions with Zenith Bank about a trade portal and Standard Bank about the possibility of the establishment of a $1 billion trade finance facility, which will be aimed at primarily small, medium enterprises. We will have to explore the possibility of trade finance, and this trade finance facility being jointly underwritten by governments, African banks, and African multilateral institutions.
Mr. Mene also assured that the SME sector will be pivotal in the implementation of the deal, as well as building capacity of women on the continent.
For the AfCFTA to be inclusive and to ensure shared growth across the continent, women, young Africans, small, medium enterprises have to be at the heart of its implementation. In this regard, we shall partner with UNECA, the UNDP, to ensure that the FCFTA continues to contribute to the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030.
The extraordinary session, which was attended virtually by heads of state of the African Union and trade negotiators, was part of final rounds of meetings to conclude negotiations for a successful takeoff in January next year.
Now, the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, in the month of September lost 42% of its revenue due to power thefts in the northern region. Out of 103,000 customer population, only 57,000 purchased power, an indication that about 43% did not purchase power. Martina Bugre has more in this report.
Addressing workers of NEDCO at the Best Worker Awards 2020 ceremony, Northern Area, on the theme Motivating the Diligent Employee, Our Collective Responsibility, Area Manager of NEDCO, John Okanyamua, told the staff there was the need for all to rally and stop the trend of power theft before the company collapsed.
Another threat to our business, you all know, is power theft. Northern area is noted for very high distribution losses. Our year-to-date loss as at October is 42.68%. We started the year, we have pushed and pushed and pushed. In June, we started experiencing a downward trend as far as our losses is concerned. In June, we got a loss of 38%, which is unprecedented in our history as far as I know. In July, we got 39%. In August, we got 39%. In September, we got 39%. But in October, we got 42%. You know why? We have entered into the heat season, and people are stealing a lot more than before. We ran our October report, and we realized that out of 103,199 ppm customer population that we have in the area, in the month of October, only 57,000 purchased power. Take 57,000 out of 103,000 and tell me the number that didn't buy power. In fact, when I did the computation, 43.8% of our customers didn't buy power in October.
Engineer Amwa urged the staff to live up to expectation to turn the tides of the company around.
Another thing that will motivate, or that should motivate you to do well, is that NEDCO has employed you and NEDCO is paying you well to work hard. We are not the best paid people in Ghana, but we are among the best. That one, there's no argument about it. And so, if after all the things they give you, the condition of service and all that they give you, you still lazy about, you know it's a curse. It's a curse. It's a curse. Most of us take salaries we don't deserve because we haven't worked enough to deserve that salary. By the end of the month, we go and take that money, we begin another month, we don't sit to work, we lazy about, and you see any money that you get without working for it, the way the money came is the same way the money goes away.
Joynews Alote emerged the overall best worker 2020. He took home a certificate and a cash prize of 2,000 Ghana cedis, followed by Christopher Atajan, who received a certificate and 1,500. John Kunta received 1,000 and a certificate, and Ochri Set took home 500 and a certificate. 7 other people received certificates of recognition.
And that's how we end Business. Sports is up next.
Thank you for staying with us here on the Sports. Again, I'm Gary Al Smith. Nana Amponsa, the Chief Executive Officer of Asante KOTOKO, has called on the players to give everything, as he is confident that the team will do well in Africa. The Porcupine Warriors, don't forget, were declared winners of their last CAF Champions League preliminary round, second leg tie against FC Nouadhibou from Mauritania without kicking a ball. Now, the Mauritanian club could not field a team for the return encounter at the Accra Stadium due to COVID-19 issues. The KOTOKO CEO says he has no doubt that the team will excel in Africa when, starting with when they face Al Hilal of Sudan on the 23rd of this month.
God for this achievement. It's no mean feat. I mean, we went to Mauritania, we all know what happened there, and God being so good, we come to our own home. A lot of frustrations, but all of you have kept your cool, you've been calm, you've been resolute, and we have come through this hurdle. What is ahead is even more difficult, but with God, all things are possible. So we are going to do, I said it in Mauritania, we're going to do something in Champions League this season that will amaze a lot of people. We're going to do something that hasn't been seen for a very long time. And I want all of you to be committed to that task so that your names will be written in gold. Put it at the back of your mind that so long as you remain in this family, you do your best for this family so that you will be remembered tomorrow.
In bodybuilding, Mohamed Adams is Mr. Ghana 2020. The promising bodybuilder beat off competition from Fred Amankwa to secure that title. Asarabidiako was there.
It was a night of physique and muscles. Bodybuilders across the country exhibited what they are made of at the 2020 edition of Mr. Ghana. The event was organized by Waba Ghana. Bodybuilders competed in the men's physique, men's classic physique, and men's bodybuilding categories. And it was the strong and unyielding Mohamed Adams who emerged champion after shrugging off the challenge of Fred Amankwa and one Evra. Adams, who took home a cash prize of 3,000 Ghana cedis, could not hide his joy.
I believe I can beat them, and I told them last time. So I'm not surprised about it. I know I will do it, and I did it. Not easy. It's not easy. The prep, the work, a lot of things. So I did my best, and I beat them today.
So you want to take bodybuilding to the international level?
I want to take it to the next level. Where Ghana bodybuilding will reach, I want to take it ahead of there. So this is what I want to do. Bodybuilding is not something who's not good. Bodybuilding is something good, even for your health. So I want people to understand, because we are bodybuilders, we don't do anyhow.
Jude Gajipo was one of the judges at this year's Mr. Ghana event.
I think it was a very successful event, and the guys really did marvelous. It takes a lot to put your body through training and dieting and cardio to look how the guys were looking. So I think we should applaud them for looking like that. It's not easy at all. And I think I want to commend Waba Ghana for such a wonderful show they put up. Yeah, bodybuilding has a lot of potential in Ghana. It's just that the leadership is not paying close attention to how much potential the sport of bodybuilding is and how much it can impact our economy, because a lot of these guys have amazing physiques and a lot of potential which can help them excel in the sport of bodybuilding. So I think it's got a great future.
Should be something we are looking forward to. Also looking forward to the Ghana Premier League, which comes off tomorrow after it went for the break due to the elections. Asante KOTOKO will be playing versus Legon Cities. And tomorrow, look out for all our previews of that game and more here. I'm Gary Al Smith, and that's the sport for now.
Watching Joynews Prime, and as I indicated earlier, we are expecting the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress to address the party's supporters, and it's happening at the party's headquarters. We are expecting that to happen any moment from now, and we'll be taking you there when it actually happens. So do stay tuned in. But in the meantime, President Akufo-Addo has announced his transition team, and I'll be bringing you the members of that transition team in a moment. The statement will be showing on your screen. So President Akufo-Addo, the Presidential Transition Act 2012, Act 845, was enacted to govern the transition from one administration to another. Within 24 hours of the declaration of the results of the presidential election by the Electoral Commission, the President shall constitute the membership of the transition team. Section 1, subsection 3 of the Act stipulates where the incumbent President is re-elected for a second term, the President shall designate members of the transition team. In accordance with this, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, following his re-election, has designated 15 persons to serve as members of the transition team, and they are Akusia Frema Osei Opare, who's the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, Wu Chair; Yao Osafo Mafo, the Senior Minister, is a member; Gloria Kufu, the Attorney General; Ken Oforiatta, Minister of Finance; Ambrose Derry, Minister for the Interior; Dominic Nitiwo, Minister for Defense; Shirley Ayoko-Botwe, Minister for Foreign Affairs. These are all members of the transition team. There's also Hajia Alima Mahama, Minister for Local Government and Rural Development; Albert Kandapa, Minister for National Security; Nana Dramna, Head of the Civil Service; Dr. Nana Atu Arthur, Head of the Local Government Service; Dr. Janet Ampedu Fofie, Chairman of the Public Services Commission; Mrs. Mercy Debra, Secretary to the Cabinet; Mr. John Singh Chirme, National Security Coordinator; and Henry Wood, Acting Chief Director, Office of the President. They are all members of the transition team. And Eugene, this was signed by Eugene Ahin, who's the Director of Communications at the Office of the President. All right, so we go over now to the NDC headquarters to listening to the speech to be delivered by the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, former President John Mahama.
Ane wa ye kone eshafio wa ba ye chowe 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 ye nyabre ko ye chobia ye nyabre ko ye persisa ye nyabre ko we want it. 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 Chobai DJ Boyanyom.
right, so that's from the national headquarters of the National Democratic Congress. The flag bearer of the party, former President John Dramani Mahama, is yet to show up at the headquarters. Once he does and he's ready to deliver a speech, we will bring that to you. But right now, we're getting on to our social media handles to get to bring you some of the reactions to some of the stories we have on our page, essentially having to do with the declaration of the results and what people have been saying about it. So here on Twitter, let's get to see what's trending, what's in the trends. In Ghana, we have Bridget Burma, we have Sami Jamefi, we have Prof, we have Isiedun Ketia, and we have iPhone, and then Arsenal is also trending. Right, so that's for Twitter. All right, we're going back to the NDC headquarters. Sami Jamefi is the communications officer of the party, is about to speak.